Alright guys, what's up? This is Tony here with another video, and today this video is going to be on jungle strategy. So I'm not going to put any music on this video. I'm not going to, make it like easy on the viewer. This is simply if you want to be really good at jungling. So I'm going to cover things that I've seen that AoV YouTubers and they don't really cover, nor do any KOG YouTubers or KOG video makers. This is something that you won't see Zane talk about, Darkbreaker talk about, I don't know, any AoV, because this is stuff that, well, maybe they know inside, but this is stuff that is going to be too tough for them to actually be using in a match because their teammates don't listen, or you get what I mean. I'm not trying to say they're bad. I'm just saying these are things that are way too advanced. So I'm just going to try to explain some of these, and hopefully the people who actually care about getting good at jungling, you can try to internalize and learn on this stuff. So I'm going to talk about 9 things. This might be a long video, but I want to make a video that's kind of this is the good shit. If you really want to be a good jungler, you should listen. Anyways, let's get started. So point 1 I want to talk about is when you spawn in base. So let's say you're in base. Even before base. So when you're in champ select, you should look at your team, the 5 people, and should look at the enemy 5 people and think about the game plan, right? So the first thing you should think about is which side you should start on. Should you start on red side or blue side? And should you try and invade or not? In this meta, basically, there's very little reason to invade because the matchups are too difficult. But basically, how you want to decide this is you look at first you and your support combo, because that's going to be the closest synergy, and you compare with the enemy support combo, support jungler combo. So basically, if you're a jungler that sucks before level 4, and you can almost always forget this invade unless unless your other factors are override. But that's basically the first. Second is you look at your support, and if they're not the tier 1 supports, like in my tier list video, like if they're not like lumber, like the cow, like the ghost support, the things that can be online at level 1 or 2, like it can't be Chognar, Pura, like that garbage, then just don't invade. Well, technically you can invade, but anyways, that's a bit too deep. But just think about whether your 2 support jungler combo can beat theirs. If not, don't invade. Second thing you have to think about is your mid matchup. So your level 1 mid matchup is actually based on who can wave clear faster. And maybe you don't have experience now, but the more you play and the more you internalize these facts, then all of this stuff that I say will get more comfortable, right? So you have to actually think about, is my mid lane going to outclear them? So if you play mid lane, this will help. But of course, if you only want to spam jungle, then too bad. But basically just a primer, Rabbit is the fastest wave clear, and Alistair is up there too. And Tulin is pretty garbage at that, to be honest. So just think about mid lane. And Crixie's alright, kind of alright. But there's some mid laners that completely suck level 1. But there's some mid laners that are great at clearing a level 1. Also like Bomberman. Anyway, so you have to think about it like this. If your mid lane clears faster, then he can walk up to the invade, like here, faster than the enemy mid laner, so you can get the jump start. So the last thing you have to consider is the side matchups. If you put an ADC bot lane, almost always forget invading the blue buff, because this ADC is either not going to be able to help on the invade, or either useless level 1 or 2, just doesn't do enough damage. But it depends again. If it's an ADC and the enemy is a garbage level 1 or 2 hero, and the ADC can shove in early, then it's still a good reason to invade. Again, it always matters. The better jungler, the more you play and the better you understand the heroes, the better you can visualize the 4v4 matchup and understand whether you should invade. So I know this is tough. I spent 5 minutes to talk about one single point. And yeah, the game is hard. You have to internalize these things, and I'm just talking so long, but yeah. What can I say? Anyway, so once you realize how the 4v4 matchup will play out, so it's either you, jungler, support, mid, plus the other side, plus the side lane. So it's either a 4 on this side or a 4 on this side. So this will help you decide which side to start. Because envision this, if you start red buff, you do your goddamn camps, you go here, then you end up here, right? And maybe if the enemy jungler starts at his blue buff, then he does the same drill, then he ends up here. What's gonna happen, guys? You're gonna fight a 4v4 here. So you have to think about who will win the 4v4 here. For example, if your support is hot garbage before level 4, then you don't want to fight this, right? And the same if your ADC goes up here and the enemy has like Malok, then forget it. Well, Malok's not that great pre-4, but you get what I mean. If it's a boatman and this is ADC, you don't want to fight this. Also depends on your hero combination and the mid. But you know, there are a lot of factors that will swing this. But that's the most basic, right? You have to think about if the enemy is a retard and doesn't think right, it's like Master Zelo, he's probably almost always going to start blue, and maybe your support will give you that info too. Then you can think like, should I start red so I end up attacking him here and killing him? Or should I start blue and then shove this lane 4v1? So other factors that may help you decide this as you walk and think about this, as you open the scoreboard and in the loading screen, think about all of this. And yes, it will take a while to think about this when you start the game, but when you play more jungle and when you play the game more in general and you try hard, then this becomes second nature to someone like, let's say, me. I still have to think about it though, don't get me wrong, it's still hard for me, but you know, it'll get easier as time goes on. And it's really worth thinking about this because the where you start and your rotations will decide half the outcome of this game. Anyways, not moving on. Other things you have to consider is where dragon is, but that's like a very low priority. It's not really like AoV, although I disagree in AoV as well. If you start blue and then you end up here, you can attack the dragon at level 4. But to be honest, by the time you finish, it'll be like 140, 130-ish, and the dragon will spawn at 2. So you still have 30 seconds to make a play. So honestly, where the dragon is not very relevant to your decision making on which side to start. Okay, what's next? The other thing is you have to consider clear speed, right? So I'm sorry I don't have a video to cover this, but if you say, let's say you have a very good clear speed, like Zephys is not great, but you have Zephys Omar, or I don't know, like you have Birdman, very great clear early game, then you can think about maybe doing like this camp, this camp, this camp, this camp, this camp, and then wind up here. And instead of, okay, let me get there. Maybe you do all 6 camps, okay? There are 6 camps. Then instead of, instead of doing this, you know, you clear and you're like here in level 4, I'm gonna gank here. Maybe you do something tricky, like you have mid lane guarding this side, so you come through this way. And you see you can see this from here, by the way. You can see the enemy jungler doing this, which is his last camp, but you were a bit faster, right? So maybe you save your punish, or you just cuck him here. Like he's standing here and you're here, so most junglers have the range to cuck him. And that will start the fight, and because you had the jump on the enemy jungler, it doesn't matter how ugly the fight is, or how ugly your position is, or how you use all your spells. This is a one fight 99% of the time. And if you're even more high elo, you can steal this as well to cuck his 4, and then you're 4, he's 3. What can I say? He loses. Last thing to consider, I hope it's the last one. Oh my god, I've been talking for 9 minutes already. Is you have to think about whether you want to do a 5 camp start or a 6 camp start. So when I say 5 camp, I mean like you skip this camp and then you just do the other 5, so you arrive here at like level 3.8 and then you like go here, right? About this, so I guess this is a second point already. I'm looking at my notes. Anyways, it doesn't matter, sorry. So you can think about whether you need to get here earlier or you're okay with the delay speed by doing this camp first. Because if you're doing this camp and you walk here and then you gotta walk there, it's kind of slow. Also, oh yeah, so there's one more thing to think about is starting on red side helps you defend versus a pig steal. So it's very common these days for the enemy to steal pigs, right? How can I turn this off? Here we go. It's very, very common for enemies to come and jack this. So let's say, for example, you're level 1 and you're doing this, blah, 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 blah. You can see them come through here. And if you're tricky, maybe you do this, and then you're in this bush and you see this cucklord enemy mid come here, and then you just blow his brains out. Well, obviously you don't have your ult, but you know, he's done all his spells here, so you just kill him. And your support is here, probably your mid is coming by this time, so this is a flash or a kill for sure. Okay, what's next? Yeah, that's pretty much it on deciding which camp to start. The other little thing you can consider, but this is very rare in this meta, and unless you 3-stack, this is very difficult to decide, is maybe you want to face an invade. So let's say, for example, you know the enemy, maybe not this because these players are smart, but let's say, for example, this is a Diamond Luna. A Diamond Luna, first instinct is going to start blue, right? So what you do is you start blue too. You remember I said let's start on the same side as her to kill her level 4, but you start here intentionally, you hit level 2, and then you invade her red side. So that's assuming this, again, the same principles apply. Your mid is not losing hard, your side lane can come and help, and then you fight her right here. And this is under the belief that, you know, for example, Luna is garbage before level 4, but maybe you're like insane level 3. Let's say PANGU, Ryoma, Zephys to some extent, Nakaroth, they're all pretty good level 3, so you just come here and then you cuck her and fight over this. So that's the invade also, so you have to consider that in which side you start. So you see, you have to think about all this before the game starts, preferably, in screen select. And then, yeah, that will help you decide. That will help you get first blood, or potentially win a 4v4 fight here or down here. Oh yeah, there's one more thing. Feels bad. Yeah, anyways, that's my first 3 points. Hopefully, if you do this right, you have the good decision making, you outplay your jungler, you play a 4v4 here or here, and then you get those 3 kills, and maybe Dragon will spawn by then. And by the time Dragon spawns, you go and take it. But you have to think about whether it's worth to take Dragon, or maybe Dragon's on the same side as their buff, right? And then maybe like you're very healthy, your team's healthy, and you invade, their next buff spawn. So buffs, if you didn't know, spawn every 90 seconds. So this buff should spawn around 2 minutes 10 or 2 minutes 11 probably. So maybe all of you sit here, this retard jungler comes in again, and then you just cuck him. And that's the game over by then probably, most likely. Again, it depends on what support you have, the condition, like the health you have, you'll have to deal with that yourself, the decision making on that. But use your brain on this and practice a lot. Anyways, the other decision you could make is to try to do Dragon, right? And the thing with Dragon is, it's great for the entire team, but unless your side laners are gods, like very good elo as well, like doing Dragon only stops your pace, because you're going to take some damage from Dragon, right? And your buff, let's say you started red buff, is probably spawning by then. And if you take like half health from here, and you know their jungler starts doing his stuff, right? So you're gonna fall behind, quote unquote. This is only good if your side laners need to get to 4 instantly, and they are dominating the lane. So this half a level advantage will help them win the lane even harder. But most people at Diamond Masters won't know how to appreciate that. So it's very rare to take Dragon. Depends. If you have 3 people, you can just one-shot like this, you know, blah, blah, blah. But if you're like low HP, you're just soloing it, probably not worth. Again, it depends. Zephys, kind of good at Dragon. PANGU, very good. Ryoma, kind of good. Very depends on the jungler, you know. But you'll have to play games and think about how fast your Dragon speed is. Anyways, the second, well, it's technically 4th by now. The 4th thing you want to think about is whether it's suitable to mid gank or it's suitable to do a side lane gank. So there are some pairings that are super good at fighting side and mid lane. So for example, if you have the Ghost support who can clump everyone up here, then he's very good at mid lane gank. But if it's someone like Kriknak, who's very single target, Zeph is less so, but this guy, Nakroth, is very single target, then they're more suited for this tower dive here. Like, you know what I mean? All 3 of you, 4 of you, mid, support, jungler, side lane, push the wave up here, and then you just kabam. You just kill this guy. So that's why I refer to as the 4-1 meta. But this is a side lane gank, and most heroes do side lane ganks now. But you can think about doing a mid lane gank. The difficulty about mid lane gank is the enemy mid laner is probably here. It's very hard to touch this guy, right? And you don't know what's on the other side, right? If I stand here, I can't see what's happening there. And maybe the other trio is there. So if we all put our asses out here, they just come in and swoop us and we all die. So that's very dangerous. So you have to have a very good understanding before trying a mid gank. Mid gank is very good for AoE and the team that engages second. And side lane is good for 4v1 push. There's more room to play. And the lane is longer. There's more bushes. And you can shove a tower if no one responds. Mid lane tower is very hard to shove because the enemies can respond like this, you know. Hope that makes sense. So once you start an advantage, or once you get this rhythm going, and you're able to always pick the right 4 side to gank, and you kind of take some nice leads, 2-0, 1-0, 3-0. Maybe you fuck up. It doesn't matter. Well, what happens next is your buffs will be respawning around 220, right? And by the time they spawn, you wanna do them, and you wanna think about what to do, right? So let's say the game is 220. You see your lanes are kind of even, but the enemy's picking up pace, so they're taking the lead. Then you want to think about, maybe just doing this, and then maybe just doing blue buff and going for a quick top gank, If you spend your time doing all 6 buffs again and the enemy jungler is farming them, then the next time you guys meet up here at the same time, well, guess who's going to lose? You're going to lose, right? Because, you lost the early game. So it depends. After the first cycle, you have to think about when your buffs are respawning. If the enemies are good, they're probably going to invade you, so you have to be careful for that. But you really have to think about, how to execute your strategy, because if you fall behind, it's going to be pretty hard, right? And if you have the advantage, you should be taking, and you have a clear advantage, you should be taking timers on the enemy jungle buffs. So their blue buff will probably, or their first buff will respawn around 210-ish. And their second buff will be around 3-ish. And then their second rotation round of buffs respawn will be around 420-ish, 4-ish. And then the next one will be 5. So you can kind of play around that and keep invading if you have the advantage. And remember what I said about stealing? Every small advantage counts. So if you can steal this, even if they're here, you just steal this, bam. Just do it. It's worth, man. So try to gain as much advantage as you can. Don't feel bad if you leave like these side camps open because your side lanes can take them. Like try to have a clear game plan, and don't abandon or adapt your game plan because your teammates are doing something bad or whatever. Just try to stick to what's right. And also the thing with jungler is you have to think about whether it's appropriate to leech lanes or not. Because in lower elo, it's very good to leech XP from lanes. So let's say you do a 4v4 skirmish here, your side lane goes back, the minions are coming up, then you just take them. If you have better things to do, like you think a blue invade's gonna come after you take this wave, you better go there. It all depends on your game sense and what elo is. And also some junglers need the extra farm. Like Zephyrus is a hero that needs a lot more. Well, technically every jungler can enjoy more farm, but there's some that need more than others. Like Zephyrus is a hero that relies on getting ahead, while Luna is the same. And Akrod is the same, but I would not say the same about Murad, about Quillen. I mean, it's nice that they get ahead, don't get me wrong. And all the selfish jungler players will steal your camps. I mean, steal your lane and tax you. But it's not always the right choice. So you have to think about that. But I'd suggest in lower elo and when you start jungling, just do it. Have a sense of when to tax. And taxing is not a bad thing because both of you get gold. So if two people are taking the wave and the enemy has one, then you're gaining gold on your opponent. So again, try to tax, but don't tax too bad. And think about like the correct times to tax, because if you show up in lane here, then mid lane, top lane, they know they're safe and the enemies can make a kill. So it's not great to show yourself. So just be careful about that. Anyways, moving on. The next part I want to talk about, but this is very obvious. Like the difference between the yellow dragon, so this dragon, and then the red dragon, like the Baron or Darkslayer, like which one to take. Think the thing about Darkslayer is like what they advertise is, wow, you kill it and you spawn these dragons that push, right? But in fact, these dragons are very squishy. So the real power of this is, yes, it's nice to push, and good teams will use the dragon to shove 2 lanes at once. So you get, you probably will get your tier 2 towers out for free, but tier 3 will probably be very hard. That's nice, but the real advantage of this is it gives less gold to your opponent. So minions, when you kill them, technically give you, how much do they give you now? 130 for the cannon minion, and then the 2 little ones give you 50, right? So that's 250 gold. But this goddamn thing, when you kill the dragons, they only give you what is it, 130, 110? So that means the enemy is losing 120 gold per wave, and there's 9 dragons that spawn total, so they lose 1,000 gold defaultly. And that is if they get these dragons. If they miss the dragons because they died to tower, then that's too bad for them, right? Well, there's also obviously a bad advantage is the dragons kill waves, so you lose gold as well if you take the dragon. But that's something you have to consider. And the thing about the yellow dragons makes you stronger, right? Gives you base stats. So you do this like on purposely to start a fight. So for example, you do this, blah, blah, and you see their blue buff comes out, and for some reason the enemy is stupid, they contest this, and you just easy clap them because you've got the yellow dragon buff. You obviously check where your teammates are and don't fuck up, but you know what I mean. Like, it's like why are objectives is because they have something important to them, right? And blue buff has gold and XP, so these are places that you can start fights on purpose so that the enemy will choke or do something. And then the problem with the tower is it's very hard to push this tower, right? So you need like a dragon to help you, and then once you have the yellow dragon buff as well, then maybe you can all suicide this, but usually it doesn't work out, so I would not recommend it. Okay, and also if you're finding out too difficult to close games out, try hiding some very stupid bushes, so you try to abuse the vision. So let's take an example. This bush, if you walk in through here, if the minion wave is here, they can see it, right? But let's say the minion wave passes, or minion wave hasn't come, and your minion wave is like shooting to here, and it's gonna stop there, and there's no tower, let's say, for example. Then you can walk in here, minion wave is freezed here, right? And their enemy ADC comes here, then you can bang, and he dies. And then you can close out the game like that. Better example is this tower goes down, you hide in this bush. This is very hard, but it's very forward. And maybe he comes through this side, so you just go like bang. But smart people will hug the wall, of course, but you can always incite them to make this is a bad bush to hide in, but you can still try it because maybe these towers are still up, so you just step here and they'll be coming here, and then you just bang. The art of hiding in bushes is something you just have to learn. This bush is virtually useless. I don't really see any point. Unless their tier 2 is up and they somehow walk here, but that's stupid. This bush is kind of useful because you can always catch people walking through this side, and all people always walk through this side. yeah, anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this video. It's a bit long. Let me know if you have anything else you want to cover. I'll be making another guide on side lane. It's pretty much it for jungling, to be honest. Like, you can see how I spent most of this video talking about the first 2 minutes, first 30 seconds, because that's what's going to decide you the game. In terms of jungling, yes, there's a jungle tier list and it helps, but the jungle is really decided by the jungler and the support. So Zephys is a tier 2 jungler, but if he gets the opportunity to get the ghost support with him, then that 2 combo is almost a tier 0 combo in my eyes, you know? So think about what junglers you want to play. Try to be a jungle tier whore if you can, because the little advantages in jungle add up. And if the enemy is farming faster or slightly stronger and wins like team fights slightly more, then he can just come in and invade your buff, so you just fall behind very hard. So try not to play heroes like Zephys unless you know, the enemy has 3 ADCs or stupid stuff like that. You know, try to play the meta heroes. And I'm not saying Zephys is bad. I like to play Zephys too, but just know that, you know, he's not great. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
You got me, nigga? Yeah, here we go. All right. Yeah? Yes, yeah? Yeah, okay.